Today we're obviously going to touch more on participation, and this morning's presentation is from Bowls Victoria Deputy President John Inglese, who's going to give us a fairly comprehensive run-through on some initiatives that are being currently undertaken, initiatives that have been undertaken, and to try and provoke some thought out of everybody in the room today of how we can actually take participation even further forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Bowls Victoria Deputy President John Inglese, minus his assistant today, Sean.
Yes, good morning everyone. That video just shows probably wiped out half of my presentation, Graham. Thanks for that. That's okay. Felt like a scene from that show on ABC. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, so I just parted this morning. The graph in a minute. So this graph Graham put up yesterday morning, I believe. What I'll talk about is today we'll have 3 case studies. We have a video we took at Warburton Bowls Club. We've got Mr. Geoff Pickering from Smeaton Bowls Club, and I'll have a chat about Richmond Union. So we're talking about 3 different clubs, 3 different areas scattered around Victoria, like out of Melbourne, inner Melbourne, and also a remote little club, Smeaton. So that'll be the cornerstone of today's presentation. And later on, we'll also give out 4 scenarios to the tables, and we'll get you to read each scenario and come up with an action plan to help that club or clubs. Okay, yeah, today's building about, you'll see why the participation is going through the roof, and club membership is sort of declining. And although I'm passionate on participation, I'm probably more passionate on club membership, because if you don't have a vibrant, quality membership, there's always a danger that for a start there won't be many people coming to these conferences, because you don't get many social bowls turning up, giving up their weekend to come here, like you guys have done. So it's really important to have a strong membership base. Now, I'll give you the example. Oh, we've got that. Okay, excellent. So if you have a look at that, you could look at it 2 ways. You could say, oh, things aren't travelling all that well. Our club membership pennant is dropping. Now, it would be ideal to push that up. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of things there, as what that video was touched on, that there are threats or weaknesses confronting all sports at the moment. I mean, really, today's society is generally more lazy than we were when we were younger. Also, they've become more of a pay and play society. They don't like to commit to membership for clubs, length of seasons, and that sort of stuff. So it's really important that we ease them into that way of thinking, if you like. Now, I know at Richmond we had a massive social membership participation and so on, but going back about 3 years ago, we actually started back about the year 2000. We had about 180 members, 6 pennant teams on the Saturday, plus bankers. Remember the old bankers? And during the week we had 16 women teams. And barefoot bowls had just started. We might have had 200 or 300 people. Go forward 20 years. And back then also we had social members. It was a $10 social member. You could drink at the bar. We had about a dozen of them. Go forward 20 years. We've got about 120 odd full members, 705 social members. We have about 23,000 people come through the door for barefoot bowls. And yet our pennant teams have dropped down to about 4.5 and 1 midweek. And that's a real big concern for me, being a passionate bowler. So what we've done, and what I've sort of instigated, is what we do well as a group. We'll talk about it later. But there is a bit of a void from social to pennant, and we'll talk about that later. One of the things I like you guys to do as a question in front of you is to work out or think about what is your target market. Now that will differ from region to region, division to division. So I want you as a group to sit down and actually write down, got about a minute or two, what you believe your target market is. Don't say everyone, because it's not everyone. I'll give you an example. I'll throw one in for you to start thinking about. Is the U3A, University of Third Age. Now some clubs have grasped onto that, but there's an example of a target group. So spend a couple of minutes, have a chat, don't be shy, and write down some ideas. Now the video you're going to see now is we put together, it's a little bit rough early, but we put together, and it's regarding the Warburton Bowls Club. Now they're situated about an hour and 40 minutes out of Melbourne. Got a population, I think, of about 2,200 odd. One pub, no rail, one school, fair way out of town. But the actual club is situated right in the middle of the sports precinct in Warburton. So we played the video.
I took over as president 6 years ago, and we sat down as a relatively new committee. We talked about our future and what we thought was important in terms of how we were going to grow. And whilst the old uniform was fine, but because we are in this unique setting with football, cricket, netball, the concept we had is about let's make sure we're part of the whole sporting fraternity, Warburton, and they've always been Warburton Millgrove boroughs. So whilst we decided we didn't go with the Millgrove part of it, we stayed with Warburton, but we wanted to bring in the boroughs and the colour scheme. The black, white and blue has always been the boroughs. So we wanted this to be seen as part of the normal evolution of sport. You go cricket, footy and then the bowls. So it's sort of a long-term plan. Just a bit of a side to that, when I was a young bloke growing up, I always felt I wasn't welcome in the Bowls Club. But our concept's about, no, we're about a sporting community here, and that's why we made the change to try and encourage people to see this as natural progression in their sporting career.
You mentioned off camera before about the polo top you're wearing, and tell me about that, what's going to happen in the future with that.
Our theory is this is a football club polo, but we've been talking to both cricket, netball, which is part of football, and of course the Bowls Club as well. We're looking at having one for all codes, so we'd all have exactly the same logo. It's much easier to buy them in bulk and things like that, and it's about this Warburton borough's identity as a sporting area.
Okay, what should clubs do as a minimum to ensure their long-term survival? So if you walk into a club that's struggling, you'd say, listen, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, I think the plan is, to sit down and say, what is it that you want? Like some of the decisions we made in early days were predominantly around, so what's our identity? What's the identity we want to have? And that's the boroughs thing, and what's our playing code, etc., and that sort of thing. Our facilities. When I first came here, quite frankly, they were quite old facilities. They were, male-dominated, and whilst they're still male-dominated, we've made a lot of changes to improve the facilities. So my wife and women feel very comfortable to come here, even if it's just to have a drink and watch the bowls for a little while. So that's been a priority, and just being welcoming. So it's we've opened the club up to the town. So we have the RSL has functions here because they can't fit into their relatively small facility. Any community groups who want to run events, we allow them to do that at no charge. So to me, it's about saying, what is your identity? What do you want to be about? I want to hand this place back to the community so that they feel that it's theirs and it's theirs to use. Bowling club use it for 20 hours a week, really. It's not, maybe a bit more than that. So why can't the community use it for the rest of the time? And
particularly in winter months, anyway.
Yeah, and that's sort of working. I think that's working more and more, where the community know it's here more, and they're starting to use it, which is fantastic. Really keen to create a digital database of our history. So there's a couple of us are going to start a project on capturing that, so people will be able to sort of inquire on a family name or something like that to see what sort of contribution they might have made or what they've won in terms of events over the years. So
And you can access that on-site?
On-site or online is our plan. Now, this is very early days at this stage, but it's something that a couple of us are very passionate about, so we'll be working on over the next year or two. And yeah, if it goes well, it might be something we can offer to other bowling clubs around Australia to see if they're interested in something like that. But the idea will be quite visual as well. But it'll just improve people's accessibility to our history.
I'd like to thank Ken Warburton. He actually did the filming that day, so thanks Ken for doing that. Probably saw him in the back of the reflection of the glass. Just to finish. I covered most of that, but notice the membership, they're not shy in charging a good dollar for their membership. That doesn't include their green fees, by the way. The social membership's $100, gym membership free, of course. One thing we didn't mention in this, he actually mentioned in the full interview, but about 9 years ago they had a team in Divi 7 on a Saturday and one team on a midweek. Now they've got the midweek still going, but on the Saturday they've got a Division 8, 3 and a Division 1. So the club has really moved on.
That was as a result when Warburton used to be part of, in the old group structure, part of Group 7, when that was redistributed and they came in as Eastern Rangers, outer club in the Eastern Ranges of Melbourne. They started in the lowest division because the rules said they had to. So they just set about their focus and they've made the progression every year up through the ranks. So it's a great thing. I just want to say a couple of things about that presentation that Rod was fairly open and frank about, that he wasn't welcome because he wasn't over 21 when he first had a connection to bowls. How often do you hear that now from people that have been around for quite a long period of time? I think the fact that the Warburton Sporting Precinct, they're all identified by the name of the Warburton Boroughs, and look at the commonality across the football uniform, the netball uniform, the bowls uniform, all the sports look the same. I think it's great. They've improved their facilities, they're comfortable, they're engaging. They've opened up their facility to the town. And I think that's the thing, the key in all of this is exposure. And there's too many instances that you hear from people who won't engage with our sport because they think it's a special place, you know, there's a big fence around it or a big hedge. And nobody inside the hedge or the fence wants anybody outside to know what they're actually doing. And God will help us if they're having fun, like that's just not the norm. Yes, Norm?
Their membership fee of $210, is that to be members of the footy club and the bowls club and all that?
No, I wouldn't work in the city, but in the country areas, I'm sort of surprised that there isn't. That may be happening, I don't know, but that you don't have like a town sports membership. That to me, you know, you pay $210 to join the bowling club, you get 3 passes to the gym, 3 entries to the football, 3 games of tennis, and so on, and vice versa coming the other way. That would to me be a no-brainer, but anyway.
The best thing to do in that instance is to try and work on some sort of reciprocal arrangement where if you're a member of the footy club and you actually go over to the bowls club, you might be able to get, say, discount on your drinks or something like that, or if you bring somebody along and you encourage them to take out a membership, there might be some initiatives in that. But I think the other thing that was really relevant, that Rod said, they only use the facility for 20 hours a week for bowls. So why wouldn't you open up the opportunity to use the facility for other things? And then it becomes an actual income stream to keep that club and the sporting precinct of Warburton viable. So the shared facility idea is great, and I think the other thing that was really relevant in that is he's asking you all to give him a ring. See what he's done to try and plant that seed in the minds of others, and if you want to get some ideas or assistance, there's an offer that's probably worth money in the bank to you. So I haven't put Rod McHale's phone number up there for fear of him ringing me up and saying, what the hell did you do that for? But I would say investigate that further, go on their website and either send them an email or give them a call and say, hey, I saw your presentation you did with Bowls Victoria. I'm interested to how you've turned your bowling facility around in your local area. What are some of the things that you did that you might be able to give me a little bit of advice on? And it's not going to be what happened in Warburton that's going to necessarily suit you right down to the T. You might have to modify that slightly, but it's all about having that seed there that they've experienced, and they're a proven story that it's worked for them. And lo and behold, I can't work out why teams in metropolitan Melbourne don't want to go to Warburton. They've only got to go there once to play them in the pennant season. They've got to travel every second game on a home and away basis, so they're doing the travel, they're honouring their commitment to look after their fellow clubs in the competition. But we continually hear of people that don't want to make the drive to Warburton. I know somebody that went there and they said they had the best afternoon tea they ever had. Lynn?
Another thing that came out, or what Warburton did, because they went together as a group and a sporting precinct, I believe they got a grant because there was so many of them to get the new uniforms. They were able to approach somewhere, but I was under the impression that they got a grant from one of their sponsors, and they got new uniforms for the football club, the netball club, and the bowls club as a result of it, because they had quantity.
Actually, I think they got the sponsor. They run a corporate bowls season, and I think the sponsors actually came from the corporate bowls and went in for the first time. I thought it was a great facility. And
the sponsor will throw money at a project like that because what's it got? It's got numbers behind it, hasn't it? It's going out, it's got a big reach. So they're going to invest in that because they think they're going to get a return on that investment from being the sponsor. So there's a whole lot of good things that come out of understanding how a club has turned their fortunes around by taking an entirely different approach to how they do it. And I think that's the lesson in this, is that others can learn from that.
The reason why we ended up doing the video was that Ronnie was going to come to this forum, but unfortunately he's gone overseas, so we rushed up there and did that, and he gave us some time, so it was really great of Rod and also Ken coming up here to film. Right, next on the next case study, I'm going to ask Mr. Geoff Pickering from the Smeaton Bowling Club to come up. He's given up his time this weekend to come up here and talk about the initiatives they've got going to their club. Just before I asked him to come up, I was actually asked to go there, and it was the 60th anniversary of the club, so I got to go up there, and on all the way up there I was dying for a coffee, so I just drove out of Melbourne, I had to pull up and get some fuel, got the fuel. I thought, well, I have a coffee. This lady's come out with this cup of coffee. And I said, gee, that smells good. She goes, oh, it's the best coffee in town. It's a survey, it's the best coffee in town. I said, oh. I thought, no, I'll do the right thing. I'll go to Smeaton, stop there at one of the cafes and have a toasted sandwich and a cup of coffee. Anyway, about 45 minutes later, I drove through Smeaton, and there's a pub and a bowling club. So I kept driving thinking, where's the main street? And that was the main street. But so, as I said, Geoff's got a story to tell about his club, so welcome to Geoff Pickering.
Thanks, Scott. If I just do a little bit of introduction about me. I'm 46 years old. I've been playing bowls since I was started playing bowls when I was about 14. Also was playing tennis at the time. My old man was actually the greenkeeper at the local bowling club at Smeaton, and also was on the match committee. So been off an odd time that they would be short, and I'd always they'd ask me to play. And at that time, you weren't allowed to play pennant unless you were over the age of 16. So at the time, I think I was 14. So I was a few people asking how old you were, and yeah. So anyway, that was a bit of fun and games. But I played my bowls predominantly at Smeaton Bowling Club, and also played 2 years at Beaufort. Had a break for 10 years due to family, three young boys running around. So returned to play game of bowls back in when I was 38. So I've been playing for about the last 8 years. And yeah, it's been great to be back playing. My passion is lawn bowls. I've been fortunate to be involved in a lot of premierships. The club's been quite a successful club over the years, and this year we were able to win the Division 2 premiership this season, and which was personally a highlight for me, being involved actually playing as a skipper in the team and also being the president of the club. So from my point of view, it was very fulfilling. I've just completed my role as a president for the last 2 years, so I've just handed the reins over last Wednesday, so which was good. So John's asked me to come along, so we've got, as you can see, Smeaton there's about 12 k's northeast of Creswick, 105 k's northwest of Melbourne. So located in the Hepburn Shire. Population 231 people. That was 2016 census. We have no other sporting clubs there. We do have like the Smeaton Tennis Club team in the Mount Prospect Association, but there's nothing else. There's no footy, there's no cricket. So we're pretty well the lifeline of the community. Nearest bowling clubs, so we've got a few neighbouring bowling clubs. We're in the Ballarat District Bowls Division. We have 12 bowling clubs, a total of 24 teams in the Ballarat District Bowls Division. The neighbouring clubs, we have Queen's Bowling Club, which is only 18.2 k's down the road. Creswick Bowling Club, 14 k's away. Dalesford Bowling Club's 22 k's away. And we've got a new club called Bungaree, who have just started, they're 31.9 k's away. So, and then we've got USID, which I think is in the Indigo Division, the Tiger Goldfields Division, is that right? Central Island, sorry, yeah. And they're 34.8 k's away. So it gives you an idea that we've got other clubs that we're competing against. So, yeah. The Smeaton Bowling Club was established in 1957. We have had a new hall built in 1985 adjoining the existing bowling club. The Smeaton Bowling Club has one bent grass green, and we built a new synthetic green in 2012 on the south side of the existing hall. The members donated their time. The land actually was donated by one of our club members, the Tooth family, which was great. They had parcel of land, so they donated. They were finally able to donate the land, which is fantastic for us. So members donated their time to build the surrounds, including pathways, shelters, retaining walls, and the landscaping. They also helped with installation of new lights for our synthetic green. In 2015, the Smeaton Bowling Club built a new deck, which actually came off the wall. It stands about 1.3 metres high, so you can actually look over the green and watch, which is great. So, and that was built by our members. That included a veranda and steps. So members donated all their time and built the deck and the veranda with help from the local Hepburn Shire. Here's a picture of our, this is looking at our club rooms. You can see that's our grass green. That was coming along nicely. We've had a really good start to the season. We usually struggle our way with the cold weather, but it hasn't been too bad. So that's our grass green. And this is our outlook of our deck to our new synthetic green. So for our club, it's, you know, we've done really well to. I've had retaining walls on this on the eastern and northern side, and yeah, so it's made a huge difference. We've actually grown all the hedges around the outside, and it's quite a great facility now. A lot of the clubs in our association are envy of what we've got, so which is good. Current membership, we have 83 members, which is pretty good for us for a small club. Smeaton Bowling Club. We've also decided to play twilight triples on a Tuesday night. February, so basically that's been on a February night, which we would get new bowlers. And so we just have teams that are free playing. We're full of whole rink. We can't add a whole green, so we have 16 teams coming along, and they love it. And so each night the best team would get, we'd actually get glasses made up with the Smeaton Bowling Club logo on them. They'll get that, and then the winner would actually, of the 4 nights, would get prize. We could normally get a sponsorship from, say, RACV or someone like that. So that's been really good. So what we've been talking about how we can raise more money, and you can see. And so that's been going really well.
Where does these people come from?
Just basically contacts of friends, of the members of the club, people who may be interested, or it can be wives that never played before. My wife came along and played, and she's not the best bowler, but she'd say that, but she's, you know, she enjoyed it. But yeah, I think later on down the track, well, you know, she'll come again, and hopefully, you know, that's the way to bring new members into your team and into your club. So, next one. There's been a lot of discussion about the club, how we can raise money. You know, we've been talking about going to Bunnings and having barbecues, and I've sort of said to them, well, we've got the facilities. This is the best spot. Why aren't we using our facilities and raising money that way? So over the years we've talked about. So there's been a discussion on how we can raise money at the club with barbecues, Bunnings, selling scones at a local festival. It's quite good. We can still make some good money out of that. But I encourage the clubs to run a corporate cup in 2017, which was looked at by the members negatively. The comments said, "Oh, that won't get off the ground." And me being probably the younger person in the club, trying to get some energy as a president, I sort of pushed that pretty hard. So as the president of the club, I pushed for the corporate cup with my energy and enthusiasm to make it happen. I managed to get a naming sponsor, which for the corporate cup, which is a local seed company. We had a pass to the club meeting to buy a perpetual cup. So we brought a cup. It's quite big. It's got 4 areas where you can actually put winners or names. So first year corporate cup we held was in 2017 on a Tuesday night over 3 weeks. We had 6 teams for the first year, so it wasn't big. We're able to raise $2,200. Like for a club that doesn't get a massive amount of income coming in, the winner of the corporate cup gets to keep the cup at their premises for the next 12 months, which has the winner's name engraved on the cup. Everyone involved for the first year loved it.
Play in the following year.
Yeah. So from that point of view, it's great. So, give my slides.
Geoff, did the people that say it won't get off the ground eat humble pie?
Yeah, a little bit.
That was their idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was interesting. Like this year, we had a lot more people come along, and the beauty of it is you're getting people coming out playing with their own work colleagues. Also, the beauty of it is when they're short, if you've got a bowler that can fill in our team. So it also interacts with our own members too, and so they were also communicating with different people. The whole demographics of the whole club changed. So the first night we got there this year, we had 14 teams this year in our corporate cup. The club was just a buzz, and it was people, new people. Oh, gee, great to see you here, you know. But normally wouldn't play bowls, or they've played cricket or footy or tennis over the years. But to see those different people come along, it was fantastic. So it was just a buzz. Made a big difference to the club. So we go to the next slide.
I'll just ask a question.
Yep.
What do you think would be a good idea to have statewide? Your winner plays off.
Yeah, you could actually do that with all the clubs. That'd be fantastic. The beauty of it is it's an opportunity. Like we have a son of one of the members. He's got his own electrical company. He's gone out on his own. He's been in the commercial world. He's decided to go on his own. So he came along and sponsored the Twilight. And I said to him, well, why don't you come along to the corporate? So he came along to the corporate cup, put a team in. He actually then got some of his clients to come and participate. So he was working for, I think it was a local car yard in Ballarat. And so they came out, some of those people came out and played, just to say thanks very much for supporting me, giving some work in there. And they loved it. And now we look like we might get another sponsor out of that, and they're potentially going to put a team in. So it's actually great from the corporate side of it, so people can come along from their businesses and support the clients. So yeah, so it was really good. And so the second year, in 2018, we had 14 teams participate, with an increase of 8 teams. We raised $4,900. It was done over 3 nights. So we do it at twilight, so it's after hours of work. We normally get going by 6:30. Basically go right through to it's about 9ish we finish. So we play 2 games of 8 ends. So we come back into the club. we sit down, have something to eat, and then we do the presentations. And by rights, we try to finish by 9:30, so everyone can get on the road and be home at a reasonable hour.
Geoff, just a question for this gentleman over here.
You talk about, just quickly, the breakdown of the organisations that joined the corporate cup. I mean, were they, and how did you actually go about and approach them? Were they local tradesmen, businesses? Were they?
Yep. So what we did, we asked our members and said, you know, who do you deal with? So we had farmers who do with Hewitt and Whitty, West Ag and Ballarat. So they were people that they would deal with all day in, day out. So yeah, we'll put a team in. And like Hewitt and Whitty didn't actually have any participants, but they had, we organised a team for them and they won it the first year. So here they are, they've put $300 up to enter a corporate cup team, and they've got this massive corporate cup sitting on their premises.
So you basically stacked the side.
No, I didn't. One of our members, and there was 3 girls on the team and the bar manager, and they had an awesome time, and they were trying to talk the other teams out of trying to beat them. So it was really good. You know, so we also we talked to a few people I have dealings with. I said, oh, we've got a corporate cup, do you want to come out? And we've got a couple of potential members there that one has his own carpentry business, so he put a team in and he got his workers to come along and play. So we had, you know, 2 apprentices and a tradie coming along, and they would change their team each week. So out of the 14 teams, we were getting different players every week. So it wasn't just one player coming for 3 weeks, they were changing the team. So it was always different people coming along every week.
So Geoff, out of those 14 teams, it was triples, I take it?
It was actually 4s.
It was 4, so that's 56 players?
Yep.
30 were non-bowlers. That's a pretty good strike rate for getting non-engaged bowlers active in a competition.
And most of them, you know, we've got 2 seed places in Smeaton, but a lot of them came from Ballarat. They drove past probably 10 bowling clubs to get there. So, you know, you can actually have, doesn't matter where you are, demographics, it's the people and the local contacts you have and the people you deal with. And yeah, it's been really good. So this year we raised $4,900, which was great, over 3 nights. Youth Corporate Cup was a major success from a financial point of view. We had new people playing the game and bowlers and loving it. We believe that we'll gain new members, so we've potentially got 2 members we know that are keen to come along. So the biggest thing I can see from this is making sure we follow up with them. It's for the next season. So because we're playing it at the end of the season, now we've got to try and put a process in on how we get them there. So we're talking about, you know, making phone contacts and say, come down, we've got practice on a Thursday night, come down and have a chat, have a beer, you know, and usually have something to eat on a Thursday night. And that, hopefully we can gain members that way. But it also gets our club out there. It also gets, we had no signage to the club. We had one Bendigo Bank sign at the club, no other signage. Our sponsorship committee of 5 people don't do much at all. So by doing this, it's actually brought in different revenue as well. Now we can get signs at the club. We've actually got potential other sponsors that want to come on board to sponsor other events. So it actually opens up a lot of more opportunities for the club. So yeah, it was basically played over 3 nights. It's a really great way of trying to get new members. So.
How did you identify that 3 nights would be the best? Was that what you thought people were prepared to commit time-wise?
I personally think I've been involved with the Twilight Triples, and from a personal point of view, you're out at the club like I was president, so I'm doing I'm out there sometimes 5 times a week, and so if you're going playing every Tuesday night, the Twilight, it was over 4 weeks. It actually felt like it dragged for the last week. So by just doing it 3 nights, you know, people get really enthusiastic the first night, the second night, they think, oh, this is good. And by the 3rd night, they've had enough, they've had a good feel for it. And it gives them a taste for the game. And just the camaraderie and all the stirring, because corporate bowls, you're talking to people and you're getting people that you know. So one member might know you and Winnie. Some of the other members over, deal with you where you would know them too. So you've got this communication, steering and all that happening. So it actually grows, and it's quite a good, interesting way of doing it. And, I was lucky that I was talking to John Emerson, he said, oh, we do this, and I was talking to Avenue, they have theirs, and I'm like, this is good work for our club. And from our club point of view, we have been struggling. Our actual membership was going down. In the last couple of years, it's starting to go back up again. And we're now looking at maybe putting another team in the weekend division. So
Fantastic.
Yeah. So our club basically has 3 midweek teams, which is 3 teams of 12. And our weekend team, we have 3 divisions of 16. The ladies are in Division 1, or midweek I should say, are in Division 1, and men have just won Division 2, will now go up to Division 1. So we're trying pretty hard, and we're a competitive little club, so we've got a Division 5 and a Division 6, and then in the weekend and now midweek the other 2 teams are Division 3 and 4. So we've been struggling from the ladies' point of view. We still are struggling, trying to get ladies members, so that's behind the scenes, that's our next goal, is to increase that so we can get some. What the beauty of it is with the corporate cup, if you get the men to come along, the whites come along to the social events, and they think, oh, this is quite good, and then they're starting. So we actually could have 2 whites that might actually take up bowls next year as well. So.
Where do most of your members live?
Well, I actually live in Ballarat. I live 500 metres from another bowling club. We have members coming from Balan, which is probably 35-40 minutes away. We have other members that have come from Clunes. There's a Clunes bowling club.
Travel's not an issue.
No.
God, tell that to the metropolitan area about travel. God, fantastic.
So,
yeah. Well, the ring road, the roads to nowhere in Melbourne, they drive you insane.
Yeah, so from our point of view, I'm a social member at BMS, and because I'm trying to grow my bowls personally, but I'm sorry, but a country club like that, they're just fantastic people, and my dad still plays there, and that's predominantly why I'm there. But we've got Peter Kersley, who used to have the Kingston pub. That's shut down. It's a town just not far away from Smeaton. He's then moved to Gordon. Now he's moved to Balan. Still comes across the place. He's there every Thursday night. The other thing that really made me think, and like I was talking to a fella, Bill was a member of our club. He's a bit rough around the edges. He's a farmer, and he's a bachelor, and he said, I haven't got time to play bowls. He's actually now made sure that he's more efficient on his farm at home. He races around like mad, so he can come down to the club on a Thursday night and have a practice, have a beer with his colleagues, and they talk about what the cattle prices are and what's going on in the markets. But he loves it. So he's now in a community where he can talk about what's going on in the markets, have a game of bowls, and he plays it, and he's really competitive. And that's what it's about. And so, from a farmer's point of view, you're out on the farm, you're working all week, and I think it's great. And they're the kind of things that, if you're talking, that's how, when I see this fella, and I was talking to another member, his wife was the president last year, the ladies president. He said, I haven't got time. And I said, well, look at Bill. Bill makes time just to come here. And so we think that he'll come along and play this year. So, yeah.
So the returns on your corporate cup, Geoff, positive aspects of it?
Yep. So we've got external participants, potential for new members, external money. Out of that money, 4,900 that have come from outside, not from our members, it's come from corporate world. Opportunity for corporate signage at the club, so that's starting to come along. We had a local sheep dipping company. He's got his sign up, would you believe? Because farming, we have local clubs like Leamoth, Warborough, you know, they're all farming communities, so they go, oh, I didn't know he was there. You know, so he now gets a feedback. And like our local Sparky, or the Sparkies, who came along and sponsored our Twilight Triples and then came and put a team in, the members rang him up and said, I need to get a new switchboard fixed in my house. So he's actually picked up work from it. So it actually works both ways as well. So they actually get a bit of, you know, airplay as well and get their name out in the community. So it's really good. So from that point of view, you've got opportunity for corporate signage, potential for new sponsorship. We've actually now potentially could have a new sponsor for some of our other tournaments. It's promoting the game of bowls. And one of the things what I love about it, we had Bendigo Ballarat Toyota come out last year. So they're going out here, oh, it's a big corporate day, right? Anyway, and they were loving it. There's one of the people that came, was that keen, he went to the bowl shop. He started at 9. Dave Lindsay at the bowl shop and said, oh, what bowls do I have? I've been playing this corporate cup. And he was really keen. And I don't care if we don't see him as a member, but hopefully another club will see him as a member.
He was bitten by the bowls bug, was he?
Yeah. And that's what it's about. And I'm a very passionate person at bowls, and I love my bowls, and very competitive. But to see that coming from a person that's only played a couple of times, he was out there again this year. And the funny part is, you know, you think, oh, you know, how does this work? How do you get all your games? So you got non-bowls, all the old bowls come out. You know, in the cupboard you have. One bloke was drawing using these old Dunlop bowls. It was unbelievable. He was out drawing me. I'm going, hey, I'm going to throw my bowls away and go back to the old Dunlops. But it actually changed the game a lot, you know. He was going out past the neighbours' bowls, there was nearly clashes happening. You know, it was just great. And yeah, I think it's a good way of trying to get new people to the club. There is that corporate image out there, and we were lucky we had to give you a demographics of the teams that played. We had electrical company, we had 2 free seed suppliers, so for grain. We had a local sheep dipping company, we had a local carpentry company, or 2 carpentry companies. Because I'm in the trade, so I did ask a couple, and my work actually put a team in. They said, oh yeah, we'll do that. But yeah, so predominantly we had West Ag, which is a local farming machinery company, Hewitt & Whitty. Yeah, so we just had all different teams. We're hoping to get more. We hope to get 16 next year and fill it completely. But you've got to keep growing it though. So last year, you know, we didn't really have a prize for the best team on the night. So then we've got the mugs set up, and so we're trying to grow it as well. And you've got to just keep growing it. And the beauty of it is using your facilities. So our club probably have one of our major tournaments in March during the week, but we don't really have anything else. We have practice and then we're practicing for finals. So we're using the facilities in March. Great time of the year. You know, I think in the BBB we actually finish earlier, and I think it's hard because we've got to follow the big bowls, Big 20 bowls, you know, with all that finals and all that to get done. So it's great for a club to be able to keep playing, and it's on our synthetic green at sea all the time. So
Geoff, on behalf of everybody here, thank you very much for your presentation today, and to know that you've turned the corner in Smeaton. One question I've got for you, what's the other 70% of Smeaton do? Because you've got 30% of the population at the Bowls Club. 231 in the population, and they've got 83 at the Bowls Club, so well done.
Well, they're not all from Smeaton, but yeah. There's people out there, we don't know what they do, so with this corporate cup, we're able to get people who are working at the local seed company. They actually came along, and so they're enjoying it, and they're thinking about joining. So it's a good way to get out of the community and open up to the community as well.
And a great success that you turned it around 100% in the second year, from 6 teams to 14 teams. Congratulations and well done. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
We're probably going a bit slower than we normally do to do these things. So I'm just going to touch on Richmond Union. we identified that we were getting heaps of people coming along, as I mentioned before, about being social bowls, but we wanted to build up our pennant team. So we've probably gone about it two ways. And one is, as even Geoff just mentioned, and even Rod at Warburton, is get all these people come through to the club and they love their corporate bowls, they love their social bowls, but what they tend to do is we have a bit of a void between that and becoming a club bowler. So we're fortunate in Melbourne, we have a thing called Winter Pennant, which is handy, it runs usually between about May, June, July. I started a thing called Cricket Bowls, which starts in March through to May. We had the final yesterday. And the whole idea of that is it's a quicker form of the game, both the Winter Pennant and Cricket Bowls. Modified the rules. With Cricket Bowls you have actually 4 teams at one venue playing 18 games, rotating positions and modified rules. Now the reason for that is it eases these people from corporate to pennant. If you ask some of these people who roll up, have a beer, you tap on the shots, come and play pennant, you need a full uniform, you're there for about 5 hours, 6 hours, they've got their hand up saying, thanks but no thanks. I love the club, but that's not for me. But it's amazing, when you give them a taste of this in-between type of competition, there might be other type of competitions out there similar to Winter Pennant and Cricket Bowls, I think, hey, this is not bad. And it was really interesting because I actually spoke to about a dozen people who actually transitioned from social to pennant, from my club to other clubs. And I wrote down about 5, I don't go on there, but about 4 or 5 reasons why I thought they didn't play pennant. One being competition goes for too long, or they work on a Saturday, the kids' sports are on a Saturday. And out of the 12, 11 said to me or touched on the reason why they never played pennant was they didn't think they were good enough, which was really interesting. That was their first reason. Not because of time, not because of this, not because of the uniform, not because I thought it was boring or it was for old people, but they thought they weren't good enough. But by playing those other quicker bowls, they go, gee, I'm better than Jingles at this, why am I? He's playing pennant, not me. Yeah, most people are better than playing ball. But there's an example. Then the other area we're going to is schools. There was a new school just opened next door to us, literally from here to there, away from us. And we all do a lot of work with schools, heaps of work with schools. Sean is on here today. The amount of work that Bowls Victoria does with schools is unbelievable. And we are planting the seed, and a lot of that's coming through fruition, through to Saturday morning major competitions. We've got Assumption playing, we've got major schools playing these competitions, which is great. But what I find is we do a heck of a lot of work, and a lot of people here probably have schools come through to their club. But it tends to stop after that 2-day session or 1-day fun day, and it doesn't progress. So the new school came along and grabbed the headmaster and one of the sports teachers, and I said, listen guys, yeah, we'll have your 75 kids come through for a 2-day info day. It'll be fun, we'll have a little final on the 3rd day. But then at the end of the year, in October, November, I want the kids who want to play bowls to come back to our club for a 4-week program. So you have this 2-day intro. In October, the kids have got a choice of cricket, swimming and bowls. So hopefully the kids that do turn up for bowls want to play bowls. And then I've convinced my club to hand out scholarships to these kids, which sounds very expensive for a scholarship, but it's only a uniform type because it's free membership, free coaching, free use of our club bowls. So it's cost us about $40 a pop. So it's a transition, it's linking it all up. And from there, hopefully, junior pennant one day, or the junior development squad. So we link it up. And at the same time, like Geoff touched on, the partners come, parents come, and so on and so on. So that's one thing we need to do as a sport. I'll touch on what I mentioned before. We really seriously need to look at a statewide development network, that this information flows from Bowls Victoria down to the club, or from the club back to Bowls Victoria, and we share that information. Kids. Yeah, it was interesting with the kids. I asked the teacher to get the kids to write on a post-it note what their knowledge of bowls or what they thought bowls would be like before they got there, and then get the same kids to write on a post-it note what their actual experience was. And Rose is about to put it up on the board now. It was you've got to remember some of these kids come from commission, and they'll come from well-to-do families, believe me, not around Richmond. And it was, some of them were pretty rough, some of the responses. So, but that was basically it. On the left, it was interesting, strategic, fun, individual, which made me think they probably see it on TV. They see one person on the mat, maybe. Boring, old people, leisure, relaxing, and I'll put social there because the word social appeared the second time, and leisure and relaxing, there's no responses. And I suppose when you combine the boring and older people, it's about 35% on the left-hand side, and after the experience, it's only about 9%. But I'm glad the fun part of it came out, obviously that increased. It was really interesting, their actual idea of the sport changed in 2 weeks. And one of the threats we have as a sport, there's probably a few threats, but probably the biggest one is our image. It's amazing when you have exposed people through corporate bowls, through this type of experience, they actually, their idea of bowls, think, this is pretty good. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's actually hard, you know. So it's challenging, it's teamwork involved. So, but the point I want to stress is we have to link things together. It's fine to do a program, but you need to link it. As with corporate bowls, you get them there, and so the next stage from that would be, oh listen, we've got this fun competition that goes for 8 weeks, cricket bowls or winter pennant, only goes for 8 weeks. Do you want to play that? And that's the next stage. If you get them there, you've got them for life, believe me. In fact, the chap who's running our cricket bowls at Richmond this year, he's played his first season of bowls the previous year. It was his first taste of bowls. That's a bit of a snapshot of how we've set up the pathway at Richmond Union. As I said, we haven't started the babies and bowls. We probably haven't got enough room for them at the moment, but that's an idea that some clubs should grasp. I think it's a great initiative. But so as you can see there, in fact, you start as a social member of Richmond, cost you $35. We give you a drink voucher, a meal voucher, and all sorts of things to get you in, free use of bowls and so on. And they're the sort of things you can actually do as a social bowler. One thing, we change our rules and purposes or bylaws, and so does Hawthorn now as well, that allows social bowlers 3 games of pennant, to play 3 games of pennant. And the reason for that is if they play those 3 games, you tap them on the shoulder and say, listen, Richie, you can't play anymore because the rule, the club is you've got to get 4 men to the plate. The money's coming over the bar straight away, bang. But you've got them in. If they've played 3 games of pennant, you've got them in. So basically, that's what our pathway. Someone walks in the door, we set that up. Sunday school is a little thing we do on a Sunday, obviously, Sunday morning, and that just focuses on, that's open to social and for members, and that just focuses on rules, etiquette, which is really important. I think we should all go back to etiquette school with bowls, what I see on the bowls green these days. But so that's basically the progression we put in front of people when they walk through our club. But the important thing is keep your figures. Come through your club. Participation figures is so important. Not just for yourself, but for potential sponsors, government grants. It's an actual, sorry, I don't want to stress how much it is. I know Marilla did a work on it initially on this, and I support 100%. We need to get these figures in. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, I mentioned this before. Even with the discussion points we brought up this morning, new competitions, scenarios are put in front of you. Where do we go from here as a sport? And a lot of things happen. As I mentioned before, we don't officially have a state development network system, procedure, whatever you want to call it. We don't have that in place. As I said, if someone has a great idea at Smeaton, how do we get that message across to every other club in Victoria? And vice versa, we get something come through at Bowls level, Bowls Victoria level for a new competition, how do we get that through the network to all the clubs? So I think it's very important. And one of the things, and people are going to say, who's going to do all this work? Which is a fair question. If I could just wave the magic wand, I'd say, listen, I would love to see a person on a regional divisional board specifically focusing their core business would be development. So Sean and Darcy can go direct to that person if they want to spread a new message. Here they are, Sean O'Kane or Neil Gray. Neil's involved in female participation. He's been right behind the Babies and Bowls program, and Darcy is she's also well, she's only been back. She's been here 6 weeks now, Brian. I think 6 weeks. March, sorry. And she's a gunner. So we've got the people there, but I think we need to have set up in the state, and even at club level, an activities person would be a great person. So this information filters all the way down. I think it's very important. So have a think about that. I think it's something we need to look at. I know we'll be looking at running another development conference. We ran one at Sebastopol in September last year. We're hopefully that will continue on, probably 1 or 2 a year, where 2 or 3 divisions and regions can come along to it and share the ideas.